All right, what the fuck ever. Fourth time is going to be a charm. I'm just going to make this one quick. I did probably get too much into it anyway. All right, you're going to open up your pod. You're going to connect. You're going to open up 3000, which is automatic 1111, and 8888, which is your directory. So this is your directory, and this is your auto 11. When it opens, it will be here. We're going to go over here to the deforum extension tab, and I'm going to run through the overall stuff. Cool. We're running it. We need to use this sampler, SDE, and we need to use Keras. We want our steps to be 8. That is how many iterations, for lack of a better word, it goes through, how many steps per image. We're going to want our width to be one of these multiples here that it already kind of does. And honestly, let's improve that. We want 1920 times 0.666, 1260. 640 on 20. Can we do that? Yeah. All right. This is more normal. 1024 minus 648. What? Uh, 1920 minus 876. No. It's 300 away from 1020, and then the other one is... Yeah, that'll be fine. All right, let's try that. Okay, anyway, so that's the run tab. We got keyframes. You can either have it 2D, 3D, or we can use a video to control the motion. We're going to go with 3D here because we're generating images. Your cadence is how many frames in between each frame. We do not want any in between bullshit frames, so we set it to 1. Every frame will be directly diffused. Our max frames. For the next one, we're even going to go bigger. We're going to have 480 frames. Cool. So the way this thing's organized is you've got, just like in the main tab, you have these deforum, image to image, etc. tabs. In this one, you've got tabs with their own sub-tabs. So if you start at 2D, you'll notice that the motion, for example, will say zoom, scale the canvas size, angle, etc., or move it left and right pixels per frame. So you can translate the whole thing on a 2D plane by a certain number of pixels, right? Or you can do 3D, and it will update for you the relevant parameters. So now we have a z-axis, move it away or toward the view. So you have to imagine you have a camera. You have a camera, and then we're going to take this 2D image and we're going to project it onto an imaginary sphere, an awesome sphere, which has a center here, and we can control, for example, this radius here. This is going to be the FOV. So the smaller it is, the less distance there is between our eyes and the imaginary center of this sphere. So if we stretch it out, that means we can take this 2D image and we can sort of wrap it around more or less. I don't know if that's helpful, but whatever, it's what it is. And within that space, we can zoom, or we can rotate, we can do all this kind of stuff. Cool. All right, there's an example of that. So I said there were 3 things that matter. The first was the strength scheduling. This is the amount of each frame that will be sort of incorporated into the next frame. So if it's at 1, oh yeah, the way these things work is, for example, this just says start at frame 0 with a strength of or a value of 0. So we're going to keep it the same the whole time. If you want to add things to it, you say, comma, let's say frame 30, I want to go whatever, close it off, next. So that's it. So that's how they're all structured. So the strength scheduling that I have programmed into this one, because we're doing 480 keyframes, for example, right now I have it up to 333. So the way this is kind of programmed, and I think we're going to make it easier on ourselves and get rid of we're going to go over 60. So it's going to go 0. It's going to do the value of, oops, should have done that, 0.65. So that means 65% of each frame is going to be carried over into the next. That's a good value for keeping things fairly constant. At frame 60, it's going to switch. It's going to drop down, so at only 30%. So it's going to scramble a little bit, and it's going to do that for 3 frames until it goes back to 0.65. And just going to repeat that every 60 frames. 60, 120, 180. $240. What am I doing? 60, 80, 240. That'd be 300. 300. 303. 360 to 363. 400 to 403. Sure, why not? One more. 4. Yeah, no, it's pointless. Whatever. Don't leave things like commas at the end. It will screw everything up. It's super annoying and sensitive. Okay, cool. So that's your strength scheduling. That's like kind of specific to deforum. I said the config value is the other one. Because of the way this checkpoint juggernaut was trained, we're able to do the 8 steps, which is fast, but we have to set the config scale, which is how closely should it conform to our text prompts. We need to set that down to between 1 and 2. So that's what it is. It says here recommended 515. Ignore that for these purposes because they didn't know about lightning models back when this was programmed. Okay, so we've got our motion, we've got our strength, we've got our config. That's it for this tab. Shift back up here and go to prompts. Cool. Final thing is prompt list. This is using what's called a JSON format. Value on left side is the frame number. So open bracket, close bracket, frame numbers thusly. In this case, what I have programmed is we're shifting between LoRa's. Let's pause that for a second and let me just say these are shared prompts between everything. Anything you want to show up in each frame. So what I've done is okay, let me show you the LoRa's. So this black metal LoRa is awesome. How do we add this? How do we know what it's called and how to like insert it? Easiest way is move from the deform tab over to text to image. Down here, you have LoRa's. I've loaded them all up with cool LoRa's like these, which are just much more visible and awesome. This black metal one is this one, black metal art. If you want to know more about it, you can click here. It'll explain it, it'll show you some examples, and it will give you the kinds of things that were tagged when it was trained, which can be helpful if you just want to like grab some stuff you know it knows how to do. More importantly, each one is named something different, and it has its own activation tags. In this case, it's black metal style. You can see that it was in the most images. Cool. When you click on it, it will add it up here. And usually, if they've done it right, it will also load up the activation tags that are helpful. So then you can just copy that, paste it over here. When it loads, it says 1. This can be a value between 0.1 and 1. Well, really, you could probably put it up to like 2, but too much. Usually you want to do slightly lower than or above between 0.5 is going to be medium influence. Let's say you want to load 3 LoRa's and they're fairly similar. You can go like 0.5, 0.5, and 1. This is a detail LoRa, so it's not really related. So this is going to have an influence on the style. It's going to be black and white. It's going to look like that. This Alex Gray one, similarly, is probably going to have, well, actually, you can also check the description. Sometimes I'll go down to 0.75 or up to 1.4. Usually he uses it at a range of 1. Because that's his low value, let's do the same, right? So you can go 0.75. Sweet. Okay, again, we then put those into the prompt scheduler. I don't know how much I need to go into this right now, but basically the way this is going is from 0 to 60, it's going to go full black metal style. It's at 0.7 because there's already that 0.3 added to everything. At 60, it's going to go, all right, let's tone that down from 0.7 to 0.4, and we're going to introduce a new LoRa, which is the black light one at half strength. 10 frames of that, right, 60 to 70. At 70, we just go full black light. 120, we go half black light to half blotter, full blotter for 50 frames, right? So I don't know. I hope that's somewhat makes sense, but each one has to have a comma after the ending quote. So it goes thing, opening quote. I leave a space here because it's easier to copy and paste things. You just leave a space before and after, but then you go comma, 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 except for this last one. No comma on the last one. If something goes wrong 9 times out of 10, that's what I've screwed up. Cool. Always add that if you don't want them. Okay, so those are your prompts. Init, if you want to use an image, you can use the init tab. This is initiation. Diffuse the first frame based on an image, which you can drop here. You can also do that with videos, etc. You can use control nets, which are a whole different story. Same with hybrid video. But let's try output. How are we doing on? Yeah, this guy's almost done. Sick. I have a feeling that I did not, for example, in this one, add that black metal LoRa to the whole thing. Oh, when they're done, you click here to generate. I have a feeling this is going to end up looking kind of wonky. Also, I don't know what the hell some of these styles are. It'll be interesting. Looking sick, bro. Come on. Oh, you will get this error message when you have I didn't finish this. Video output settings. So this one was made at 15 FPS, which is cool. And then I said, go ahead and upscale using this model, which will do a X4 upscale. Keep the images. You can't delete them anyway. And then we're going to do frame interpolation. So there's 2 engines. So far, Rife seems to be working better, although I have a feeling that's why it's doing that weird like throbbing thing. Let's see if this one does. That's what's up. Dude, that's sweet. Nice. Okay. What did I say? Output. 15 FPS. That seems to be working pretty well. I like that. So yeah, we're gonna try on the next one. We're gonna use film interpolation, and we're gonna go just 2x is fine. Slow-mo on at 2 as well. Oh wait, this should be. See if it's doing it. Output. Oh, if you want the files, right? They're gonna be in workspace, stable diffusion, output, image to image, and then whatever the thing that you've set here is going to make its own folder. So in the deforum tab, first tab, batch name is going to make a folder. Yeah. So whatever one was most recent. You're going to get your video file. Once it's done, it's going to save each and every of those lovely images along with the settings, which is nice. It's going to make a new folder. These are going to be temp upscales, which means that's happening right now. So it's loading all these things into memory. There should be, yeah, it's got them all temped and is probably currently stitching that file together. So we need to give it a bit of time before making a new one. Even though it doesn't say it's doing anything, it probably is. If you want to check, you go over here, you say, is Noxing doing anything? Yes, it is. Probably using a bunch of CPU, GPU memory, whatever. All right, as long as it's busy, it's busy. These two are nicely occupied. Okay, that'll do it. Jesus, I hope I didn't screw this one up.